Joining me now is the guy behind that film from the Daily Wire and also heard every night here on WMAL right after Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. Matt, thank you for spending some time today.
Hey, great to talk to you.
This is, after What Is a Woman, I was like, how does he top this? Am I racist? It might do it. In terms of the movie theaters, I just mentioned that people can go see this on the 13th. Was What Is a Woman in movie theaters, or was that just online? Refresh my memory.
Yeah, we never put that in theaters. That was on the Daily Wire platform. And so with this one, we decided, we wanted to kind of go bigger with this one and try to put it in a place where a wide cross section of the country could see it.
Yeah.
And this is our Daily Wire's first theatrical release. So we'll see how it goes. All signs are positive so far. Was
the success of What Is a Woman appetizing to the movie theater industry? I'm not even really sure how you get a movie into theaters, but did they see that success and say, okay, this could work?
Yeah, that certainly helps. I also think that the movie theaters will screen the film before they accept the movie. And I think also they just can see that it's an entertaining film, yeah, and that there will be an audience for it. Really, the biggest obstacles with the theater was just that this movie is a documentary. It's an unorthodox documentary. We take a very different approach to it, but it is a documentary. And usually there's not a huge theatrical audience for documentaries. So that was kind of one of the obstacles going in. But the pre-sale tickets, the pre-sales have been really, really strong. And so they've expanded the number of screens we've gotten, and it's been going great so far.
The trailer is fantastic. I am looking forward to seeing the movie. I'm sure that there will be all sorts of moments that I laugh at. But what I've noticed during your press tour, and I checked out some of the interviews you've done prior to talking to us, one of the things I've noticed in your assessment is it doesn't seem like it's a comedy to you. Like even the trailer describes it as a comedy. I think the audience is probably going to laugh at this. But Matt Walsh, in terms of you just having this experience of putting together this movie, Am I Racist?, talking about all these people who are steeped in this left-wing modern-day racism, was it funny at all to you as you were doing this, or was it just all depressing?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is that, well, I think the movie is really funny, and I've of course watched the movie back many times now, and I still get a good laugh out of it. But when you're actually making the movie, I mean, this is not a scripted comedy. So when you're making the movie, it means I'm in the room in real life with these people, whether I'm talking to somebody like Robin DiAngelo or I'm in one of these, anti-racist struggle sessions and brainwashing sessions. And being around that in real life, it's not exactly a barrel of laughs when you're in the room. It's a little bit, it's quite disturbing, actually, certainly uncomfortable, awkward, but mainly just disturbing and kind of infuriating. So people always ask, like, how did you keep from laughing? And for me, it's not really keep from laughing. It's more, how do I keep from yelling at these people and telling them that they're full of crap and all of that.
Yes.
So that was more the temptation, but I had to hold myself back from doing that.
You had to resist debating them.
Exactly. 100%, for sure.
So Robin DiAngelo is one of the big reveals in the trailer. She is the author of a book called White Fragility, which became something of a Bible to, bitter, self-loathing white people, I think, especially during 2020. She's made a lot of money in this kind of race hustling business. When you sat down with her, a couple of things. One, I found out recently that you basically had to pay for the privilege, just like everything else she does. You had to pay her to actually sit down with you?
We pay most of the anti-racist scholars and consultants that are in the film. We pay sometimes exorbitant fees. And we put that in the movie. We put their price tag on the screen when they appear for the first time, because that's part of the story. Like we have no embarrassment about it.
Yeah.
Part of our point here is that this is a grift, and a lot of these people are in it for the money, at least in large part. So that's part of what we're trying to expose.
And when you sit down with someone like Robin DiAngelo and you have this conversation with her, obviously she's advancing a worldview that you totally disagree with. You are tempted to even debate her as you sit down with her. Do you get the sense that she'd be successful in any other realm in life? Is she an impressive person? Is she brilliant in any way, or were you let down in that department?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And the answer is no. I did not find her to be terribly impressive. In fact, I mean, honestly, I know you might say, well, look, of course I would say this, but honestly, all of these people that we talk to, just my impression, they appear to be like very mediocre people. These are not deep thinkers, and they're not terribly charismatic. It's not, sometimes you can meet someone who's kind of a bad person and has terrible ideas, but you can tell how they have found success in life because they're very charismatic and brilliant.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case here. I think that, yeah, they found a niche that, if not for that, I don't know what they would be doing with their time. But academia, provides that to people. It's like a jobs program for mediocre left-wing midwits.
Yeah, and it seems like the more outrageous you are and the more self-loathing you are in public, the more success you have. Like, you can't take a middle ground. You have to be really aggressively stupid and hateful. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, there's one person in the film, and like, I don't want to give away spoilers and stuff like that,
sure.
But we talked to one person in the film who's a PhD, and she's also one of these DEI experts. And you'll see in the movie, we have a brief clip of her in the movie of my exchange with her, and there's not a lot going on here. I mean, this is a PhD I'm talking to, and the whole time I'm talking to her, I just can't believe, like, I didn't even go to college, and yet I'm talking to this person who's a PhD, and I feel like I have a much stronger base of knowledge than she does, but that's what you get.
One of the things I remember from What is a Woman, and again, I don't want to give away too many spoilers from the movie or induce you to do that, but one of the things I remember is when you started asking too many critical questions of the people you were sitting down with, eventually they would turn on you. They would start questioning your motives and suggesting that you had some sort of moral failing for even asking these questions. Did you encounter that in this movie?
We didn't, because we did have, there's a scene in the movie where they figure out who I am and they call the cop, they kick me out and call the cops on me.
Right.
So we certainly encountered that kind of hostility, but we realized early on that with these people, if I expressed any skepticism whatsoever about what they're saying, they just clam up and we wouldn't get anything out of them, and they just wouldn't be honest about what they actually think. So we took a different approach in this film, and rather than being skeptical, I agree with everything they say. I just okay, I'm with you. I'm an open book. I'll agree with anything you tell me, and you guide me on the journey. You take me down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
And that's because that's what we want to show. We want to show the audience, well, this is where these ideas lead if you believe them. And you'll see in the movie where it takes you.
Right. I saw the one video that you shared publicly involves you sitting down with some sort of, I guess she's probably an anti-racist educator or something, a white lady. And you're talking about Disney princesses and that she's got this, basically she thinks it's sad that children are still drawn to white Disney princesses. And you raised what you refer to as the Moana problem. And I thought at that point that she might be onto you, but she wasn't. It was just kept on becoming more and more incoherent.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, you see that's the first interview in the film, and you kind of see the approach that we take throughout the whole film in that interview, where, she says that she starts it by saying that she's disappointed in her 4-year-old daughter because she likes white princesses. And maybe if we were doing a different version of this film, I'd respond to that by saying, well, why would you be disappointed in that? That's ridiculous. But instead, we go the other way, and I kind of one-up her, and I say, well, my daughter is into Moana, and I'm worried that she is culturally appropriating. What do I do about that? And then, the person we're talking to kind of responds. We're kind of like taking each other down this rabbit hole of insanity, and that's kind of the whole movie in microcosm in that one little scene there.
Yeah, I understand. There's a scene in the film. Let me localize it here because you're speaking to a Washington D.C. audience now. There's a scene in the film where you come to Washington and you go to the Washington Monument and you begin surveying people about whether or not it should be changed from the George Washington Monument to instead the George Floyd Monument. What did you find when you did that?
Yeah, that was a moment of that I was a little surprised, honestly, because we had this idea that we knew we wanted to have a scene in the film where I do activism, because part of your anti-racist journey is to be an activist, and so we thought, what kind of activism can I engage in? And this is what we came up with. Well, maybe we could get people to sign a petition to change the George Washington Memorial to the George Floyd Memorial, or monument rather. And I thought that this is so ridiculous that no one's going to sign this thing. Like, they're going to know that this is a joke.
Yes.
But almost every person we stopped signed it. We actually had trouble finding people who wouldn't sign it. And it was funny, but pretty depressing also.
Yes. Well, I think a lot of people feel like this. I'm appreciative when you can take something like this and make a mockery of it, because I think it gives people permission to judge it and to knock it down, which is really key. Because I realize that in some ways it feels like 2020 was the crescendo of this chaos, and it maybe has ebbed a bit since then. But, so much of corporate America, and as you mentioned, so much of academia, especially, so many politicians are still pretty beholden to these theories, aren't they, Matt Walsh?
I mean, absolutely, especially in academia, corporate world. I think that they're almost entirely beholden to the theories. The only thing that really has changed in recent months even is that the label they put these ideas under, which was DEI, that label has taken on a very negative connotation with the American public, as well it should. And now, does that mean that they're going to stop promoting these ideas? Of course not. They're not going to go away. They just have to find a way to repackage it. And look, the left is very good at that. They're very good at coming up with new euphemisms and new packaging for the same ideas. And they always get, they come up with their new packaging and they get a lot of mileage out of it. And then people start to understand what's really going on. And then they got to repackage it again. And it's like this endless process.
Yes.
That repeats.
Yeah, no, we've seen them do it with woke, and then they dispensed with that. Now it's DEI. Now they're dispensing with that. So as they move, it's incumbent on the rest of us to point out that it's just a brand change, and don't let them escape with it. Because I can tell you, especially like I said, in our area, there are, I can't tell you how many human resources meetings people have where they're still subjected to, you may not feel like you're racist, but you are. And it's pervasive, Matt Walsh.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's on the left. This is their fundamental ideology that white people are the villains of history, and if you're a white person, then you're automatically inherently racist. They can't give up that without basically giving up their entire worldview, because it's all built on that foundation. So, so it continues, and that means we have to keep fighting it.
Amen. All right. Matt Walsh, thank you for your time today. Matt Walsh is in theaters with his movie, Am I Racist, September 13th. You can get tickets right now at amiracist.com. Matt, thanks so much, sir. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Be well.